lose in your fantasy league. We got that blue warlord's blood that you bleed. The most loyal fans there ever could be. We are that mile high Broncos country.
The Denver Broncos select Orange Weekly. Fans, brews, and Broncos news.
Good evening, Broncos country, and welcome to another edition of Bourbon, Broncos, and No BS Postgame Podcast. My name's Kevin. I got good Mr. Adam here with me tonight. Adam, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. Ready to talk some Bronco football and have this be a good therapy session. Just get some of that stuff out.
We're
We're
gonna vent. We're gonna vent a little bit. So everybody, as you're tuning in, put in your comments, put in your questions, put in any events that you want to have to talk about. And I'm gonna tell you right now, we're gonna save. We're not gonna jump to the end of the game. We're not gonna jump to talking about should we have gone for two or not. But that will be a conversation later on. So you are going to want to stick around for that. But just go ahead and vent away. Let's get some of that out of the way early on. As we start to break this down. So, Adam, as we tend to do, or, we haven't always done this very well this year, let's rewind ourselves a bit and kind of go back to what we were thinking before the game, right? Before all the madness and craziness happened of what was the Saturday primetime game that we all witnessed, which was just, it's fun to watch an intense football game unless the Broncos are playing, and then my blood pressure basically... If a doctor looked at my blood pressure on Saturday, they would say you're clinically dead. Yeah.
I had asked myself that a couple times. It felt like I had done some heavy sprinting for most of the day because I was my heart felt like it was doing too much work to watch football. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. It was probably a good thing that the in-laws were here. Because it made me stay reserved a little bit. Because if they weren't there, my voice would be gone. There might be a hole in the wall. I mean, just saying, it's a possibility. So it's probably good that they kept me in my place.
See, if anything, the missus collected the kiddo and the mother-in-law and was like, "We're gonna go shopping. We're gonna go shopping for a little bit.
Smart.
We're gonna give you some time to have some time to yourself." And that was good.
That's smart.
She's a veteran wife that way. So
she knows what's going on. That's fantastic, man. Well, hey, let's go back a little bit. And as we got some comments coming in, Anthony's already in here. Bob said he was at the game in Cincinnati. Would have loved to walk away with that win. Man, to be at that game, I can only imagine. I mean, the cool thing was, and Bob, tell me if you're wrong, it seemed like Broncos country really showed up because even when the Bengals offense was on the field, it was still fairly loud. Like they could still talk. They didn't have to go to a silent snap count, but it was still pretty loud. And in every shot of the fans they showed, I mean, you could pick out a handful of Broncos fans that were in every single shot. So it's kind of hard when both teams' main color is orange. But I liked it. So, Bob, tell me what the environment was like, and tell us what you saw out there as well. Jesse, I think I died twice. 2, 3, or 4 times. There were multiple times. And Victory Lap, glad to see you here as well. Bo knows. I know Bo knows. Try to say that 10 times fast. But Adam, like I said, going back to before the game, what were some of your thoughts and just kind of feelings and maybe expectations you had of this Broncos team before the kickoff of Broncos versus Cincinnati?
Well, I kind of put in my own reactions and just kind of talking with people on threads is that I felt like we were going to move the ball on Cincinnati, and I felt like not consistently, but in spurts, we did do that pretty effectively, especially running the ball. I just felt like it wasn't going to play to our strengths if we got into a shootout. with Cincinnati. And that first half went about as, again, it was choppy in spots, but I felt like that was where we needed to be, was like, right, playing even, and then kind of pull away late. But man, and I said this too at the beginning of the week, that like you will not hear me say too many bad things about Joe Burrow, because it's just, he's a good player, and some of the plays that he made were just good players make good plays. But I just felt like if we cut down on the penalties, we didn't get into a shootout, we were going to be fine. And the penalties came back to bite us a little bit again.
They did.
And I really felt like our play callers just kind of let us off the hook, or they let Cincinnati off the hook. I felt like, I don't know. And I took some heat. I took some heat from everybody, just like, how could you say that? And I'm like, listen, we're 9-7 because we have good coaching.
Yeah.
9-7 because of good coaches. Vance Joseph and Sean Payton are good coaches. They're capable play callers. I'm not saying that. I am saying in that moment on Saturday, I felt like there were choices made that didn't suit us later. Not even talking about the 2-point conversion. I'm just talking in general.
Yeah. Well, I like it, man. And let me pull up this really quickly from Bob. Definitely right. It was sold out there. There were a lot of Broncos fans. Even Bengals fans said, wow, you guys travel well. I'm proud. I'm proud of Broncos country. You know, it's almost like, you know, the feeling in the stadium, and I've talked about this a little bit before in the past few games, the feeling in the crowd is different. There's actual energy in the stadium, you know, and early on it was, you know, you go back to the Browns game. Energy was crazy, but it was also wildly fluctuating. You know, it was almost like fans were so excited they actually believed, but they're also waiting for the other shoe to drop at the same time. So to see that all of Broncos country around the nation here is really just buying into Bo Nix, buying into Sean Payton, buying into this team that we're developing. And again, this is only the first year of the rebuild. It's just, you're starting to look back at the season and maybe trying to define what the season is or was for the Broncos. And one of the first things that pops out to me is just how far we've come. You know, again, guys, if you had told me that we'd be playing for a playoff spot here at the end of the season, I'd be laughing in your face. I wouldn't believe you.
Oh, I mean, 100%. I think even most people had a optimistic view of like 6-11, 7-10. And I think that was kind of, at least that was my thought. It's like, if we're playing around 500 ball and we're a tough out for people, and especially how you had spoken to, if we know that if Bo shows that he can be the guy going forward, like that's kind of like all that we really are asking for out of this year. And it's been so much more than that. And maybe I'm being a little greedy, but I want that one thing more. That little bit extra.
I agree, man. Let's see. Let me go back up to here. Juan, how you doing? Glad you're tuning in tonight. We'll get to your comment here in a second, but victory lap. Sean not establishing the run game has been an issue. Now, I'll agree with you on that up until really this last game. Let's look at the numbers. Broncos had 123 rushing yards compared to Cincinnati's 115. Now, Adam, which team between the Broncos and Cincinnati is just a more well-established team?
I mean, you have Chase Brown, you have Joe Burrow, it's Bengals.
Right. So we outrushed. Okay, we outrushed the Bengals there. And no, we still don't have a rusher that has a 100-yard game yet under Sean Payton. But, you know, to have McLaughlin back, and I was talking about this before the game, to know McLaughlin was healthy, I knew that was going to be a big positive. I didn't expect him to go off the way he did. 10 carries for 69 yards. The longest was 13, so it's not like he had a bunch of 2-yard rushes and one big one. I mean, he was consistently 4, 5, 6, 7, 8+ yards on all of these carries. So McLaughlin was a huge bright spot for the Broncos. And I would say that they stuck with the run game pretty consistently there until near the end of the game.
and especially seeing. I mean, Sean Payton has talked about wanting to get more touches to McLaughlin, but you see in the run blocking that we have, he is the most decisive when it comes to that. He is the fastest through the hole when he gets that. And I know that his size is a little bit of a handicap, but 10 carries for almost 70 yards, that's what you do. That's what you do in college game day. That isn't what you do in real football. So to see him ripping off chunks like that was really good. I was really happy. I was impressed with the Stemme, and I've been kind of bullish on where he fits long term with us, but each game he kind of erases that concern with the fumbling. He is that physical presence that you want back there. He had one play where he met, I'm trying to remember who in the hole. It was one of their safeties, and I mean, safety got him. He took him high, but the Stemme carried him for like another 3 or 4 yards, which just kind of shows you the physicalness that he brings to it. So I mean, outside of what you were saying, and that's maybe seeing some of that later on in the game, the run game actually looked pretty good.
Now, the question is going to be, not just for this next week or maybe a postseason game as well, but how is that going to carry over into next year? You know, is Sean Payton going to find a way to get this run game really going in a way that we haven't seen in several years? You know, are we going to be able to get a running back through the draft free agency or one of the players we already have that is going to be able to pull off 100-yard rushing in a game more than once every 2 years, you know? So it's kind of a more of a future thing, but I would say that a running back is one of the top needs for the Broncos as we go into the offseason. And I don't want to get into that conversation. That's just something to think about as we do get closer to that point.
Right.
There's still a lot of other stuff to talk about, but that is something to keep in mind. So, yeah, definitely appreciate the comment there. Let's go to Juan here. Good evening, man. How you doing? Let's talk about the defense for a minute, man. To me, it's almost hard to judge how the defense did. You know, I don't think you can look at this game and say the Broncos defense is crap now. You know, everyone's figured out the Broncos defense. Look at what Cincinnati did again. Cincinnati has Joe Burrow, who's essentially playing by far and large an MVP caliber year, his best season by far. And if he had a defense to uphold this team, he'd be leading the MVP conversation, if not tied with Lamar Jackson. So look, we went up against an incredibly talented offense and Joe Burrow led offense. And don't forget, Joe Burrow and them were in the Super Bowl not too many years ago. So they have a ton of experience compared to our defense that is just incredibly young. So I would argue to say, not just to keep my blue and orange goggles on, but I would argue to say that the Broncos defense did incredibly well considering who it was they were playing. If they were doing that against like the Jets or the Raiders or any of these other crap teams, I'd say we'd have a problem, right? But, you know, that's not the case here. The Bengals are incredibly talented, and we kept up with them. You know, we really made the Bengals work for everything they got.
Yeah. And just to kind of piggyback on that, because I know I mentioned that and got some strange comments when I said that I thought the defense as a whole played pretty well. And then, of course, like the low-hanging fruit is, well, Riley Moss gave up 3 touchdowns to T. Higgins. The first two, that's just great player making a great play, and Moss was in position. And what can you do? But you look at instead of kind of taking zooming in a little bit, you had 7 sacks that day. You had you had Zach Allen. Basically, if he is not in a Pro Bowl or in an All-Pro conversation, then it's just a popularity contest, because he is announcing every single week when we get one of these primetime games that he is a premier defensive lineman. He ate up. He was eating all day Saturday. And again, this was going to be a test for any defense. They lit up Pittsburgh for 44. they're very good on offense. But to what you were saying, Kev, they had to earn and scratch and claw and chicken fight for every single one of those yards that they got. So,
scratch and claw like kitties do. I like it, man. Fun, maybe not intended, but that's how I took it. Yeah, I'm officially renaming him Sack Allen. Okay, or you can call him Zach the Sackmaster Allen. I don't know. 3.5 sacks for this guy, and don't forget about the 2 tackles for loss that he had on top of that. This guy was in the backfield. You got Cooper going back there for 1.5 sacks. DJ Jones got involved. Franklin Myers got involved. I mean, these guys were just all over the place. And it was almost like in the second half, it was just like Broncos got a sack. Broncos got a sack. Broncos got a sack. And the pressure was just insane. And I think any other quarterback that wasn't Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, these all-star type of quarterbacks, any other quarterback facing that kind of pressure would have totally crumbled, right? So it's not like the Broncos were just struggling. And I know if you look at the final score, they put up 30 on us. Yeah, but until like the very end of the game, it was tied at 17. We had held the Bengals for the vast majority of the game to only 17 points. So, you almost got a difference of like, here's the 90% of the game and then the craziness that happened in the last 10%, right?
Yeah.
But so to me, one, if you're asking, is Vance Joseph still a head coaching candidate for other teams? I would say, yeah, probably. I would be surprised if he gets interviews at the very least.
I would say so. I even wrote something about this just as a, like, BJ, I know I've said some things. We've all said some things, right? We say things in the heat of the moment, but just give this defense one more year together. Give it one more year together. Let's get some more of the salary cap purgatory out of the way. Let's go in the draft and get a couple more pieces for that. And if this defense is already top 10 now, I salivate that they can be that much better next season.
Yeah. Again, you're not talking about we need 4 or 5 or 6 big name players to bolster this. I mean, if we go in free agency, we get another key piece, maybe 2 more key pieces, and then you're talking about the experience that that they're going to get over the offseason from studying film, getting individual practice, and really honing in on the things they need to hone in on. I mean, go back to Pat, and I'm not comparing Pat Surtain and saying that Riley Moss is the next PS2. But go back to Pat Surtain's first year. He was pretty damn good, but there were games where he had bad games, or he just wasn't as solid. Who was the player that was on the Raiders, their big wide receiver there? I can't remember. That went over to the Jets now.
Amari Cooper.
No, not Amari Cooper.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
You guys know who I'm talking about. The one that went from the Raiders. Devontae Adams. Remember Devontae Adams after that first game against PS2 said, he ain't ready yet. He ain't ready yet. It's like, dude, okay, first off, I want to punch you in your face just because you're so freaking annoying. 95% is probably him wearing that silver and black uniform. But look what PS did after that first offseason. He came around, right? There was a huge amount of growth. So Riley Moss is one of those younger players in terms of NFL experience. So I fully believe, and look, I get it. Jesse, when you say, I missed that one. Jesse Adams, thank you for that. Moss tried his best, but did get torched on a couple key plays. I appreciate all you guys helping me on the chat here. Andrew and Bob, you guys rock. When I have a brain fart, I know that my viewers are going to come in clutch for me. Look, did he get torched? I wouldn't say, maybe you could argue torched. But like you said, Adam, like these are players that just made really great plays. These are players that have been playing together for years. These are players that most of them went to the Super Bowl together. So they know what it's like to play in these deep, late December, early January and playoff type of games, atmosphere. They had the home crowd. Again, not to negate all the Broncos fans that were there. But look, they just had that little bit of an advantage, right? So I can't fault him too much. And again, I can only imagine, him getting another offseason and going in fresh next year, not coming off of 4 weeks of being out with an injury, what this guy can do. and how much better the defense is going to look as a whole, especially if we continue to draft the way we did, especially the last couple of years, where these guys are coming in and making a difference right off the bat.
And I know a lot of people are down on Riley Moss right now, and trust me, he had a rough game. He was, for as good as PS2 was against Chase, Riley Moss struggled against Higgins, and that's unfortunately that's the nature of the beast. But while he was gone, the Broncos' run defense was a little leaky without him. Riley Moss comes back, so it allowed guys like Zach Allen to focus on penetrate. It allowed guys to eat space. So
yeah,
I get it. He had a rough game in the air. That's what everyone's going to see. I get that. I understand. You can't ignore that. But it's not like he was a complete non-factor in the game either. He did bring a plus to the defense that we didn't have while he was gone. But
exactly.
like you're saying, against an explosive elite offense like that, sometimes just stuff happens. So
sometimes stuff happens. Yeah, Adam or Andrew Burrow is amazingly accurate. It's really hard to defend. It's hard to defend against any superstar quarterback. You look at when we had Peyton Manning. I'm sure all the teams we played were just like, it's nearly impossible to defend against Peyton Manning, and that's why. Unfortunately, we're just on the other side of that coin right now. But the defense will get there, and I think even if Vance Joseph takes a head coaching job somewhere else, we have the type of players and we have the type of mentality that is going to sustain this defense, right? I would like to not lose Vance Joseph because I'd rather have continuity. And I don't really see a need for us to, necessarily like push him out and say, yeah, you need to go take that because we're going to let you go anyway. But this defense, you're right, I'm salivating. It's very promising for the future. Gary here. The end of the game was enough to straighten my beard out a little bit, but I think you can see a little bit of extra gray and over here on the sides, right? So that might have come from Saturday. I didn't officially measure it or do any scientific tests, but yeah. Let's see, 3 wild card change playing into our favor. Yeah, so interesting take there. I'm definitely in favor of anything that helps us out. Now, obviously, the history shows that all the 7th seeds, that 3rd wild card team really don't do anything. But again, let's just knock on wood. And if the Broncos make it to the playoffs, it's more than likely looking that we'll be facing Von Miller and the Bills up in Buffalo, and we beat them before. But let's go to this. We're spending some time on offense there. Michael, I see your comment here about the 2-point conversion. We will get to that. Believe me, I'm saving that for the end because I might have a little bit of a soapbox. Just to you won't want to miss it. Stick around. There's your hook for all you guys.
That is called a teaser.
Yeah, it's called a teaser. I like it. So Sean Payton, middle name is Pass Happy. You could say that, but again, looking at some of the numbers here, we passed 31 times and ran 27. That's a pretty even split, So you're looking for a pretty good 50-50, maybe worst a 60-40 split, right? And yeah, Bo Nix threw for 31 times. That's with overtime. And compared to the week before where he threw 40 times in regulation, right? So I was happy for the majority of how we, how the game was called, the play calling that Sean had. I wasn't really unhappy until the end of the game.
I have to concur with that. I actually thought the game right up until the last few offensive possessions was actually called pretty well. That I still think that Sean kind of gets away from the run a little bit too easily.
Yeah.
But when you're running the ball effectively, and essentially they are running to set up the pass. This isn't the opposite of that. But they did enough to keep Cincinnati off balance. And you can see that in the second Bo Nix touchdown, where that was a play action pass, where Mims got behind everybody. That was set up off a play action on first down.
Yeah.
In relatively about the midfield range. So that's that's a testament to being able to run the ball effectively. Is that when you can take those kinds of shots? So again, I don't think we're going to be 3 yards in a cloud of dust, but I do think that we are kind of showing a little bit that we can run the ball effectively at times.
Yes, it is. Sorry, just so everyone knows, I am also watching the what's going on in the 49ers Lions game. My team, Super Bowl or Bust, is in the championship, and unless Kittle gets 24 more points, I think we're going to have a champion. So I'm not going to be anyway. Back to Broncos. So if I get sidetracked, everyone, that's what's going on. I'm a little distracted tonight. Let's talk about Bo, though. I don't know about you guys. I believe, and even more so after this game, you could point to the incompletions he had in overtime. You know, you could point to the couple of times where he really could have stepped into the pocket. It almost, I don't know what was going on, because we've seen Bo Nix get better at that over the course of the season, right? Where he doesn't panic when he imagines pressure, feels like pressure's coming. He takes the time to step up in that. He trusts his offensive line. And there were probably 2, if not 3, really solid situations where you look at the tape and he has that coverage. He has that protection, and he just rolls out too early, or he throws the ball too early. But you take some of those deep passes that he took this week, and just how accurate they freaking were, man. I mean, guys, when's the last time we had a quarterback that looked like this? You know, and in his first year.
And that play action pass I already talked about was gorgeous. The last play of regulation, where it is a mix of oh no, oh my god. Yeah. When was the last time that we had a quarterback do that?
Yeah.
It's been a minute. And I had that was one of those moments of like, I need to calm down. I need to take a breath. I'm getting a little lightheaded here. We need to pump the brakes a little bit. So as far as development, to even see where Bo started to what he's doing now, I saw a stat on Threads where I think like in the last like 2 minutes, or any kind of pressure situation that somehow that they defined what the pressure situation was, Bo Nix had like 80% completion percentage. He was 131 quarterback rating.
Yeah.
When the game is on the line, they're not taking things off of his plate and saying like, okay, what can we game plan or scheme our way out of? This is, here are the keys. Let's go. And I know that. Yeah. Exactly,
man. Let's see. I'm not sure there, Adam. You might need to get the level out. We're getting called out. We'll work on that next time. Yeah.
I'm in an undisclosed location right now. There is a family party going on upstairs, so I had to.
Well, it's funny. I was like, wait, which stadium picture? And I realized this is maybe a little not centered either. So I'm like, okay. Thanks, Jesse, making sure our production value is. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Let's see more stuff here. Jeremy, how you doing? Gonna try to catch up with some of these comments, guys, and roll through these before we do halftime really quickly. Jesse, Torch may not have been correct referring to Riley Moss. I like more what Anthony said. Moss was rusty. Yeah, and again, let's give this guy time to get back. Let's give him time on off season and see what he does next year. Right? We're going to be looking at this next team next year and saying, okay, if you did that in your first year, we're going to have pretty high expectations for you next season. Right? And I think that's only fair. Let's see. Jeremy, T. Higgins torched Moss. He will have a better game versus Chiefs. Win some, lose some. And that's the thing. Again, T. Higgins he could be a wide receiver 1 on pretty much 30 other teams. Yeah. You know, and that's not exaggerating. T. Higgins is top-notch caliber type of guy. He knows what he's doing. He is experienced. And so, again, the fact that Moss did as well as he did was just, again, promising. it's not the end result that we wanted to see by any means. But I'm not sitting here saying, there were a lot of people commenting after the game, like, Moss sucks, Moss needs to go, Moss doesn't deserve to be here, blah, blah, blah. It's like, God, no. First off, I want to see you do better, right? Second off, I mean, it's not like T. Higgins got like 200 yards or anything like that. It's, for the most part, Moss did a great job tackling. The couple that he missed early on, but it seemed like as the game went on, he got back into his form. He brought players down, and what wasn't really allowing yards, many yards after contact there, or yards after catch. And again, Riley Moss leading the team in tackles, 14 total, 11 solo. You can't beat that.
I want to say that Riley Moss is even like the second leading tackler on the team. I want to say he's like second or third on the team, even missing a couple games. That just shows you. And as a cornerback, as a defensive back, he is one of the one of the team leaders in tackles. Actually says a lot about the different hats that he wears on the defense. It isn't just the passing game.
Yeah. Yep. Jeremy, once again, we're going to talk about it. Believe me, we are going to talk about it. Stick around, my guy. Clayton, good to see you as always, man. Thanks for calling the Santa Tracker on Christmas Eve as well, dude. But make sure you guys smash that like button and share for us. Also, don't forget to follow us on YouTube. Link below. Anthony, Bo has a great arm, man. Again, and we go back to not just the two big catches that Mims caught, but there was at least one that he almost connected with Franklin on. It was just, those two are just so close. And again, if you can find the chemistry and get those two on the same page, and I think just Franklin is maybe taking a little bit more time to develop. And that's fine. Like, everyone develops at their own pace. We're all human. We're all learn at different speeds, and we all adapt at different speeds. But if you can get those guys to really get on the same page, now you got two major threats between Mims and Franklin there. And then you still have to worry about Vele. You still have to worry about Cortland Sutton. Like, there are still other players on this team that you have to worry about. So, it's good that we're not totally giving up on Franklin yet. We're still saying, like, look, we're still going to try to make this happen. And they're so close, man. They're so close.
They really are. I want to say that, as far as the development piece about it, you almost feel like Franklin is still in that kind of thinking phase of the game where he's, okay, I got to do this. And then as soon as I do that, I got to do that. And then as soon as I do that, then, and he's just, he's still out there thinking a little bit. And I think once he kind of starts playing versus thinking, you're going to see him start coming down with something. They have too much of a rapport at Oregon to think that they won't figure it out with another year. But like you're saying, so, and like receivers, to say that everybody develops at the same time, like Kev was saying, is some guys take a little bit longer. Receivers, and it's not like Franklin is he's a third or fourth receiver right now, so it's even conceivable that he doesn't see as many reps as everybody else. So his learning track is a little bit steeper. But just from, most of the offense was produced by guys in their first or second year in the offense right now. So you get one more piece to go along with that, whether it be a tight end, whether it be a running back, whether it be another wide receiver. You have to think that for as close as we are right now, the future past this point, like, this is being set up as a sustainable thing. This isn't 1 year, we kind of overperformed expectations, which we did, but it's not going to be a flash in the, it doesn't seem like a flash in the pan.
Yeah. Guys, great comments coming in. We're going to get to the other part of the comments here in a minute, but we're going to break for halftime and finish up some of this conversation. First, guys, I know we all felt defeated after this game. We were on the losing side of a very tough battle and a hard-fought battle. But I don't know about you guys. The one thing that always cheers me up, some good old 5280 Broncos Championship blend from Breckenridge Distillery. Blue bottles, orange bottles, different Can't remember who made this one, but they get some of the Broncos players to, have their input. I want to say this one was Gradishar. Maybe the orange one was Randy Gradishar that kind of helped them, develop the flavor for it and stuff. So make sure you guys check that out. Now, if you see, it's still sealed. We are saving these bottles to pop them open for if and when the Broncos make it into the playoffs. So if that happens this Sunday, we'll be going live that night to celebrate with you guys and open those bottles of whiskey. So make sure you're checking out the announcements, checking us for our live announcements. We'll give you guys as much heads up as possible, but just know the night that it is official, we have clinched the playoffs. If that happens, we're going to be popping those bottles open. So go check that out. If you don't like whiskey, they also got Broncos vodka as well. So if you're a vodka person, I'm curious as to why. It doesn't really make sense to me, but hey, to each their own. That's okay. We all have our own flavors. Also, guys, don't forget about all of our other content. Tuesday night, Bourbon, Broncos and OBS, our main flagship show, starts at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. We also got our game day shows 1 hour before kickoff. We got our live tailgate talk show where we do our score prediction challenge. Still trying to give away a jersey. Broncos have to win. All of those score predictions go out the window if the Broncos don't win. It makes it, unfortunately, very easy for me. But if the Broncos win and you get your score guessed correctly, then you will be winning a Broncos jersey of your choice from us for free. So make sure you tune in 1 hour before kickoff when we start doing that score prediction challenge. This Sunday, game is officially Sunday, January 5th at 2:25 p.m. So expect us to go live about 1:30 p.m. And enter for a chance to get that jersey on us. Also, don't forget about our pregame, postgame podcast. This one, as well as the pregame podcast, they'll be up later this week. You can check that out on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you listen to your podcast. We are there. And lastly, I want to kind of announce that every year there's I can't remember where exactly or what he does, but guy in the Broncos media kind of ranks all the Broncos podcasts out there. And this year he ranked Bourbon, Broncos and No BS as the 12th best podcast for Broncos country out there. So thank you guys for all of your support. It helps us out a ton. And I mean, really, we do this for you guys. And to follow that up, don't forget about our fan appreciation episode that we will be doing late January with some special guest appearances and maybe even bringing one of you guys up to have some time on the spotlight as well. But a ton of Broncos prizes and just having a good time of hanging out with you guys and giving stuff away and saying thank you for all of your support over the last 9 years. Adam, you're joining us as we're going into our 10th freaking season. So, yeah, this is awesome, guys. Very awesome. Okay, well, I hope you guys got your snacks. Hope you got an Uncrustable or whatever you want to eat at halftime. We are back for the second half here. Let's see. First off, Paul, did anyone predict a tie? I kind of joked about it at the beginning of it, like in pregame. I joked about it, and Jared got mad at me. Rightfully so. And when it was kind of unfolding that way, I was like, I should have kept my damn mouth shut. But no, nobody predicted a tie. And unfortunately, you have to pick a winner and the Broncos to win to be able to win that jersey. So let's see more of these comments here. Clayton, right off the bat, longest pass in NFL this season from Bo Nix, at least in terms of the most air yardage. Man, that is 67 yards. You can't beat that. You really can't, dude.
But Bo Nix can't throw deep. Why?
What?
How did he do? How did he do that?
Oh man! How? What? Yeah. So for anyone out there who said Bo Nix can't throw deep, you're wrong. You're just wrong. He can, right? It was great to see, man. Let's see. Clayton, again, I have high hopes for Franklin. I do too. I don't think he's a bust, right? It'd be one thing if he wasn't even close on these deep passes, but he is. You know, it's like the accuracy is there. He just has to learn how to read the deep ball just a little better while worrying about the defender that's on him, right? You know, there's a lot. You got to think about where is that defender? Where is the ball going? How am I going to catch this and stay in bounds? Keep both feet down. Like, there's a lot that is going through a wide receiver's head in those, 1 to 2 seconds, the ball's in the air, right? It's a lot. So I'm not going to fault Franklin until after maybe. Look, if we're having this conversation about Franklin this time next year, it's probably like, oh, I'm starting to get worried, But right now, I'm not.
I mean, especially with if we were counting on Franklin to be like the second wide receiver right now, I'd be concerned. But right now, I think that they're fully aware of where his learning curve is right now, and that's why you kind of see it where they have like their own little special role for him. He seems like, especially that little bubble pass that they have when they don't run it with Mims and they run it with Franklin. He has some scoop for one, and two, he's got a little bit of a open field ability to him. So I definitely don't think that it's time to close the book on that. Again, well, as you're saying, if we're getting to this part next year and we're still seeing the same things of the drops or the inconsistencies or whatever may have you, yeah, it's time. We'll have to jump off that bridge when we get to it. But right now, I think from where he is in his role in the offense, I think he's done okay.
Yeah, I'd agree. Paul, I like this. I'm laughing at your comment. We're easily the 9th best. I would like it if you guys saw us as the best, but I'll take 9th. That's fine. I understand we don't have a ton of money behind us. We don't have big names, constantly on our shows. But you know what? The fact you guys are watching, to me, that makes us feel like, we are the best, and we try to be the best for you guys. So I think it's time. I think it's time to talk about the end of regulation, man. Here we go. Bob says, Dan Campbell out here going for it on 4th down so much, 8 seconds on the clock, man. Now I want to take you guys back. Let's rewind history just a little bit. And let's go back to, I think it was week 2 of the season last year. We were playing Washington in Denver. Mm-hmm. Broncos trailed by either 1 or 2, or they trailed by 1. Okay. And instead of taking the kick to go to overtime, in week 2 of the season, Sean Payton, with Russell Wilson as his freaking quarterback, decided to go for 2 points. Now, that didn't work, but I applauded the effort, right? I said, okay, rather than dealing with overtime and potential injuries, and you never know what's going to happen in overtime, who's going to win the coin toss, and it's just a mess, right? Just go for 2, you either win or you lose, and that's that, right? So tell me then why here we are at week 17 against an incredibly better quarterback than what we were facing last year when we played. I don't even remember who the quarterback was last year in Washington.
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell. Sam Howell.
Who?
Not worried about him in overtime. But you have Joe Burrow on the other side of the field in this game, and you're saying, you know what? I like how our defense has not really stopped them, but maybe has stopped them. I really like how consistent our offense has been, but not really, because our offense hasn't been very consistent in this game. I'm going to take my chances in overtime. Are you freaking kidding me? This is the time for you to say, you know what? I'm not going to risk any other injuries. You know what? I'm not going to allow Joe Burrow to have another chance to go down the field and beat us. I'm not going to risk any of that. I'm going to go for 2 now because we have the Bengals defense on their heels after that huge catch that Mims made. A little bobbly, but didn't touch the ground. So, momentum is on our side. Right? Fans are nervous as hell. That's the time to go for 2. And if it doesn't work, I would at least sit here and say, you know what? It didn't work, but I love the play call. I do not want Joe Burrow to get another chance touching that football. Because what happened? Here we go in overtime. Joe Burrow, who knows, it's like playing in regulation time. in a throwaway game. There's no pressure to Joe Burrow in this situation. So he's just going to go out there and light you up. Exactly what they did. The fact that the Bengals kicker missed that first kick in overtime, which, oh my God, right? That's one of the instances I died. all of this is playing out, and I'm just like, why do you go for 2 with Russell Wilson in week 2 of the NFL? And here you are in a situation that you trust your quarterback more because this is your guy. We've seen what Sean Payton has called with Bo Nix over Russell Wilson and the confidence that he clearly has in this guy. You're looking at some of these catches that your players are making, especially on that drive alone, and you're going to say, nah, we're going to chance it. We're going to go out there and we're going to stop Jamar Chase and we're going to stop T. Higgins and we're going to stop Joe Burrow. Are you kidding me? That is the most pansy ass. And look, I have defended Sean Payton, and I still do. I'm not saying that this changes my view of Sean Payton as a whole, but that is the most pansy ass play call and decision that I have seen from him. Yeah. Well, guys, we knew that a tie was still in our favor. How many of these games end in ties?
There's that much time left.
Exactly. Okay, and it's not like you're playing the Raiders. It's not like you're playing the Saints, who, yeah, you could very well, if your offense is struggling, but your defense is on fire, yeah, it could be a defensive struggle in overtime. That was not the case here. Every analytic that is out there, all the math shows that you should go for it. Take the emotion out of it. You should go for the 2 points in that situation. And freaking Sean Payton says, you know what? Nah, we'll be fine. And we were not fine. So I think that was an incredibly stupid decision by Sean Payton, that one I just cannot justify. So, look, I'll step down on my soapbox here now, Adam. I want to get your take on it. But, man, I'm still – that's the one thing out of the whole game. It's not a play. It's not an interception. It's not, bad play calling in the other parts of the game. It's that one instance that has me infuriated because, yeah, we very well could be sitting here saying, hey, went for 2 and didn't make it, and we still lost. And we could be talking about, well, what would have happened in overtime? We all know what would have happened in overtime. This. Or we could have won sitting here saying, hey, we're in the playoffs, guys. Freaking awesome. Let's pop open the bottle. Let's get drunk. Let's have a great all time. But no, we're not sitting here saying that. No. So I'll shut up now. Adam, man, I've been talking for like 10 minutes. What do you got?
Well, I mean, it's a weird juxtaposition that Sean has with this. And because on the one hand, he gives the keys to Bo seemingly whenever they need a drive. He says, let's run, do whatever we need to do to go get a score. You saw what they did in the last score of the game anyway.
Yeah.
But then it's like, now is the time. To give Bo the ball. I mean, the situation is tailor-made for the things he does well. Get him out on the perimeter, use him as a runner, use the RPO game, all the things that Bo does well, but we're going to take our chances in overtime. Fine. All right. So I'm kind of with you, Kev, because from where I'm standing, the momentum is all on our side. The crowd is now pro-Bronco. The defense is looking around like, here we go again. We're going to blow another lead late that Burrow pulled out of the fire, and we're going to give it right back. And in the words of the immortal Danny Green, rest in power, King, we let him off the hook. And then, so then we go into overtime, and your defense, we just struggled, gets you a stop. Now, granted, we got pinned in our own end a little bit, but then we reverted back to a preseason vanilla 2 basic runs and 1 throw, and we punted it back. Fate smiles on you again. You get a field goal out of it. And you do, and so now it's like we're gonna start over from the beginning. That now it seems like, oh, okay, we just need to run this out. We just need to run. First down ends this. And you went to the exact same well again. Now, I have seen a play similar to that happen with Franklin. I've seen it happen with the myriad other quarterbacks that have been here. And the excuse is always the same thing. The coverage was there. And if you get it, it flips the field and da-da-da. It's a low percentage throw. It's a low percent. If anything, the opposing defenses wants you to toss it to that read because it's even if it isn't covered, it's still a probability thing. And for Sean, and again, I defend Sean. There are times where I'll say I don't like this, I don't like that.
Yeah.
This is one of those times where for a guy who's known to be a gambler, for him to basically just put the gun back in the holster when that was the time to start firing was it was weird. And I don't even like that he's like, well, you second guess yourself. Yeah, it happens.
That's That's like saying, well, we couldn't really cover number 15 on the Chargers because we had a short week and we didn't have. Dude, you chose to have that be a short week. Don't stand up there and use that as a freaking excuse. And then go up there like, well, I'm second guessing myself. Paul, right here, exactly. How about when we went for it on 4th and 5 or the 4th and 6th in LA? Or how about when we played the Ravens and in the first quarter we went for it on 4th down multiple times? Yeah. So you have no problem going for it on 4th down. You have no problem taking that extra chance, right? You can do it in against a worse Washington team last year with a much worse quarterback or a quarterback you don't trust nearly as much in Russell Wilson. But you're not going to do this. And here's the other thing, Adam. We're sitting here talking about, man, you could use Bo for this. You could have used Bo for that. We still had a run game that was working. What about McLaughlin? That's a whole nother dynamic that we could have tricked them into thinking, yeah, Bo's going to run. Bo's going to do something. Hand off the ball to your running back. Like there were so many options.
You have a big bowling ball running back that is built to punish defenses in this stage of the game, and you just need him to get 2 yards. Like, yeah, I'm with you. And you probably get this where like people want to ask you, so why did they do that? Why did they do that? The best thing I can come with is you blink sometimes. You get faced with a big situation and you blink. And maybe all the times that he has gambled, maybe has come back to where he thought about it this time. I don't know. All I know is, and it's also the other side of that is if we go for 2 and they don't get it, then it's why'd you go for 2? We could have played for overtime. So I'm sure there's an element of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But in this instance, with everything that we've outlined, I think the situation called for them to go for it. I think so. Bo wanted it, and if anybody has a good idea of what of the vibe on the field and everything of that, he's yelling at Sean, 2. So
no. And I can't find the comment right now. I had it tagged, but now I can't see it. I can't remember who said it. We went from playing to win to playing to not lose.
Oh yeah.
We were playing to not lose that game, and it showed in the play calling. It showed in how conservative it was. The Bengals went out there and they took chances. Yeah. Why couldn't we? Why are we doing a little? It's not even a screen. It's like a wide receiver out, and it's like both times that I remember the Broncos did that. The first time early on in the game, by the time the ball gets in that running back's hand out to the out there, he has 2 defenders coming down on him. So what do we do in overtime? That same play just reversed. And the same exact result happened. They saw it coming a mile away. They knew that whatever situation they had studied and seen on Broncos film tape, they knew that was a very strong option, that we were going to do an out like that, and they had to watch that running back. And so here we are, I can't remember, second or third down. Third down after those 2 runs, and we do that. It's like you're not even throwing to the chains, man. You know, this is overtime, and you're just willing to say, let's be conservative. Man, it's not like Bo Nix had thrown, 3 interceptions that day. It's not like our running backs had fumbled. So where is this conservative play calling coming from all of a sudden, other than you're playing to not lose? You're playing for the tie, and that's what cost you the game entirely. The Bengals were going out to win, period, the end. And that's what happened. So I was incredibly disappointed in the way Sean Payton handled that 2-point decision. I would much rather be sitting here today saying, you know what? We went for 2 and didn't work, but we tried. I would be able to sit here and be like, I applaud that decision. We could talk about the play call itself, but man, you had everything going for you in the moment. And we just said, whatever, let's give the ball back to arguably the best, if not one of the best quarterbacks this season.
Right.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
And I mean, I pointed out that I wasn't, and even just the running attack that we threw out there, even though that we were running the ball, they were 2 basic run plays to a stem, just run up the middle. The McLaughlin didn't even get the ball back. The guy who's ripping off first downs every time he touches the ball, and he didn't get a touch in overtime. So I don't know. If I could jump into Sean's brain, I would. It might be a scary thing. I think it'd be kind of fun, and I would report back to you what I found out. Unfortunately, the technology doesn't exist for that quite yet. So
give it another 5 years.
There we go.
It will. Man, everyone in the comments agreeing, kind of, saying the same thing. Sean Payton bitched out. Michael, with Bo's scrambling ability and arm, exactly what you were saying, Adam. We had a better chance than average to take that to. I mean, it's 2 yards. You're talking about 2 yards to end the game versus an entire overtime where you're going to have to, if you get the ball back to start with, you're talking at minimum 40 yards to get in field goal range. Decent, 45, 50 yards to get in legitimate field goal range. So, guys, I don't know how to answer for what the decision was there. And Sean Payton didn't provide any sort of additional helpful information what was going on in his head at that time either, other than, look, I'll address it, really annoyed, like he knew he was going to get that question. Yeah, well, you kind of deserve it. You kind of deserve to be on the hot seat, and not in terms of your coaching job, but you deserve to be a little torched for this one. I don't know. Anyway, guys, that's what happened, and that's how I feel about that. So now you all know. Thank you for tuning in. Let's see. Andrew, play not to lose. Yeah, exactly. Andrew says, play not to lose makes sense. Win a win secures a berth, but next week at home does as well. I get it, man. I just you don't want to put it on one game. And I know we're facing the Chiefs backups, but it's still Carson Wentz. It's not a no-name quarterback.
And derpy things happen in games.
Yep.
We lost PS2 on the first defensive play of a game, changed the entire game. Do I feel okay about our first teamers beating Kansas City's second teamers? Yeah, I feel okay. I feel pretty good about. I feel pretty confident about that. I just don't want it to come down on one game because anything can happen in that one game. I don't know. So
we could be sitting here saying, you know what? Broncos are going to rest most of their starters too, because we've clinched a playoff berth. But now we have to go risk them out there for another game, and just the last thing you want to see happen is one of those guys go down. And look, I get it. You coulda, woulda, shoulda. Hindsight is 20/20, but just even in that moment, it doesn't make sense. And I don't get paid the multi-million-dollar salary of being a head coach. I get it. I don't have the experience Sean Payton has. I'm just an armchair coach. But dude, there's nothing that Sean Payton could say that would make, unless he was like, you know what, they have, every attempt that teams have had get 2 points on them this season, they've stopped every single one of them. Okay, well now you have some, but that's not the case.
but we felt we were just as good with the tie. That when that was the rationale for it, that is, I'm sorry. I'm not going to say anything hyperbolic. I'm just saying that is not an answer that moves the needle for me at all, and it shouldn't move the needle for anybody else. I'm sorry.
Agreed. Well, guys, right here, man, I don't know. Go for it. Maybe next time he will. We'll see. Michael, last question here. How do teams utilize their tight ends so much better than us? It's one of those things where, I just don't know if, I think in this game especially, we were really utilizing them for pass protection and blocking. But you're right. It'd be nice to have a tight end that is definitely more of a playmaker. And not just kind of rely on all of our tight ends to be pass blockers. I mean, we've seen games where our tight ends have stepped up, but not so much in this last game. I mean, Nate Atkins had 1 catch for 7 yards. That was his only target. Troutman had 3 targets, but only caught 1. Kroll, 1 target, 1 reception for 3. So
I don't think we have that guy yet. I know they really had high hopes for Dulcich, and just the hamstring wasn't going to let him do that. I am de facto president of the Adam Kroll fan club, so I think he can be that guy. I don't, but for as much as I like Adam Kroll, I think next year you will see them make a very earnest attempt, either in the draft or free agency, to go get more of a receiving threat at tight end. That's the only reason why I don't think that you're really seeing them featured a whole lot right here, is that their skill set, like the most well-rounded of the guys, is Troutman, and Troutman is even more of he's a better pass. He's a better blocker than catcher at this point. So, yeah.
Look, to me, it comes down to these guys are young. They're not a top-notch tight end. It's not like a Travis Kelce. Those guys are rare to come by. Could we talk Shannon Sharp out of retirement, Mike? Maybe, for the right price.
I'm just
on the phone.
Shannon still looked like he knows his way around a gym. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm
saying. Yeah. It'd just be, could he take the number of hits and everything? But he still could be an interesting playmaker. Maybe we'll call him this offseason.
Let's develop a package for him. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to play 50 plays. Maybe 10, 12, 15, boom.
Yeah. Just do that for us and see what happens, man. Let's see. Highlight reel. Jaleel could have gotten 20 carries. Yeah. And somebody said it earlier, Sean Payton needs a bell cow. It's not how he does it. I prefer the bell cow system. I would love if we could get a player that we could just rely on, like Derrick Henry out there, and you just know, like, that's your guy. That's your guy for 95% of the game. But that's just not the way Sean Payton works it. And that's just a fact we're going to have to live with. Maybe he'll change, but he's been doing this for so long that I don't think it's going to happen. And it's kind of the way the league is going in general now. The vast majority of teams all do it running back by committee. The Ravens are a very unique case, but I wouldn't be unhappy if the NFL started moving back towards that direction, valuing running backs a little bit more. And I know that means you got to pay them a little bit more, and there is additional risk to that. Like if your bell cow goes down, then you're screwed, right? Then you're in a huge can of fucking trouble. Like it's like, well, now you're incredibly one-dimensional. So having the running back by committee does keep that, even where if one guy goes down like McLaughlin, we still got Javonte, we still got Estime, we still have Watson or Bidet or whoever the other guy is, right? We have options. So I get it. But Jaleel looked incredibly great on Saturday, and it was really good to see. Really good to see. Adam, let's do some closing thoughts here. Before we do, guys, remember tomorrow night, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Yes, it is New Year's Eve, but come and celebrate with us as well as we do our Bourbon Broncos No BS show starting right at 7 p.m. Mountain Time again there. We might have some champagne or something just to help celebrate ringing in the New Year's with you guys, talking some Broncos football as we get ready for this last regular season game. Man, this season has gone by freaking quick.
Always does.
And here we are.
It always goes by fast. And I was thinking about this the other day that like you watch a Bronco game and it seems like it just flies by. You watch any other game and you find yourself getting a little bored. You're like, well, I'm gonna make myself
not
something
really
to
that
eat.
invested.
Yeah, but it's like you look out and the sun's out and you take a blink and it's dark out. It's time for dinner. Yeah. So, but that's I wouldn't trade that for anything though. I love that.
No.
Love everything about
Exactly. Exactly. Hey guys, on your way out, I'm just going to check. Did you hit that follow button? Have you subscribed yet? Again, YouTube link is below. Check us out for all the other daily content as well as our live videos as well we put out. So make sure you check that out. We hooked on electrode on Adam's chair. If you don't subscribe, he might get shocked once we go off there. No promises. I'm just saying. And we can't show that, of course, but it might save him some pain if you subscribe. It's a different channel. That's our OnlyFans, Only Broncos Fans channel. You want to see Jared in a some sort of swimming suit that I don't want to even imagine. That's the place to go.
And we went there.
And we went there.
Good night, everybody.
So, guys, we'll see you tomorrow night. Before we do, Adam, closing thoughts over to you, buddy.
I saw in the comments somebody said that they were very confident and very scared, and I would concur with that. I would say that that if I were to compare our team to the twos for Kansas City, yeah, we should beat them. And frankly, if we can't beat their backups, then we're not a playoff team, and that would be a bummer. I'm not going to be disappointed by that, but I will also say the reason we're this invested is because we care that much, and it's because of the season that we've had. And yeah, by all metrics, this has been a successful season. We think we have the right guy in Bo. We have a lot of promising pieces that are coming back next season. We'll be clear of some salary cap issues. Everything is turning up Broncos. I will fully contend to that. But you know what? And I'm going to be greedy. I want one more. I want one more win. The playoffs, again, maybe we'll treat it like we're just happy to be there. Oh, and then we went there. But anyway, like I was saying, but to say that I'm confident because I think we can do it. Anything can happen. But like I said last week, if you're scared, go to church because we'll be fine. We're going to be okay.
We're going to be okay.
Things are okay.
And it goes back to the culture that has changed. This team is no longer expected to lose. It's a surprise if they lose. Even in this game, you're going up. Yeah, they're like, well, look at the Bengals record. Okay, yeah, but they're still the Bengals, and their offense is still scary dangerous. And we held up with them. This team is young. They need time to develop. This is the first year of a rebuild. And once we get into the next couple of years, I'm not even asking for a playoff win. Just get them that experience of what it's like to, man, we made it. We got here, right? All this hard work has finally paid off. And get them that experience because it's a different environment. It's a different type of, level of playing. When these guys go out there and they hit just a little harder and they run just a little faster, and you got to be just on your game just a little bit more as to not get caught off guard. That's experience that these guys need. Playing in a big game that has really high implications. The more times they get experience doing that, the more it's going to pay off tenfold down the line. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, disappointing. We're not celebrating right now, but it's not over until it's over. The Broncos are at home. They're going to be in their throwback uniforms. It's going to look sick out there. Yeah, buddy, it's going to look great. Whether it'll be good, it'll be cold, but it'll be good. And I'm almost kind of rather us clinch that playoff berth leaving Mile High than watching it on TV, just because the environment is going to be crazy if we're able to make that happen.
It'll be fun. It'll be a fun environment.
Real fun. It'll be real fun. So, guys, make sure you tune in for all our other content as we go out through this week leading up to the last game. Make sure you're checking notifications and any announcements we make of when we go live for if we make the playoffs, as well as any of the off-season shows and stuff we're going to do. We're going to stay pretty active this off-season. So make sure you tune in, and we'll be having some fun to help get us through the long off-season. Harsh, bro. Hey, it's okay. Usually they make fun of me for being short, so it's okay. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Adam, thank you for helping me out tonight. You have some great input. It's a good time, man.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm always pumped to be able to talk about Bronco football. So
love it. Cool, man. Well, guys, after more than an hour of talking, I have nothing left to say other than to end this show, as we always do, on a very strong Go Broncos.
Let's go, Broncos.
Take care, guys.
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, yeah, they know I'm a pro.